going to ask Bruce Ardley, the convener, to bring the console up out of the darkness of the workshop into the light of the concert hall. Let her up, Bruce.
What a momentous day of fulfilment to witness the first appearance of the Compton before a packed auditorium here at the Malvern Town Hall. After acceptance by Her Worship the Mayor, the patron of the Society, George Blackmore, specially invited from England for today's celebration, performs the official opening.
Worship the Mayor, Councillor Elizabeth Shellis, and as you can see...
Fellow councillors, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to accept custody of this magnificent Compton Theatre organ on behalf of the City of Malvern.
Now I have the greatest of pleasure in inviting our patron, George Blackmore, to officially open the Compton by playing it.
"23 years ago, the Theatre Organ Society purchased this organ, somewhat the worse for wear and age, but now brilliantly rebuilt and restored to give forth its marvellous theatre organ sound at the touch of this master organist. But how did it happen? Let's look back at the past 4 or 5 years to a church hall somewhere in Melbourne. Here, amid an assortment of thousands of pieces, are the myriad parts that go to make up a pipe organ, stored, wrapped, sorted and labelled, awaiting restoration at the hands of skilled craftsmen. For many years, parts were stored at various locations until work started in an old unlined galvanised iron shed. Then, 3 years ago, moved to the present church hall. Originally from the Paramount Astoria Theatre in London, the instrument since has had a very checkered past. Having sat outside in the London winter for 12 months, it arrived in Melbourne badly water damaged, with the wooden tibia clauser pipes broken and floating in the bottom of the crate. Later in Melbourne, it fell off a truck, with the keyboard and stops going in various directions, whilst the timber console frame came apart. This is the background that confronted Bruce Ardley and his devoted Malvern team as they set to the task of rebuilding.
Instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Alan, is it making any difference to the contact there that they're now talking about putting another 12 stops in? What you might go, straighten. Oh, well, you've got to get him.
A working model helped plan the detail and operation of the organ well, and then came the detailed assessment of the auditorium, stage and proscenium, organ chambers, lighting, acoustics and heating, all with the cooperation of the Malvern City Council. Behind-the-scenes work saw the preparation of the main and solo chambers, at times involving major constructional alterations to allow installation of the various pipe ranks. Skiving leathers for the regulators which had to be constructed. These regulate the air supply to ensure even pressures to each individual pipe rank. Few would realise the extent of the work to provide the stage area with its organ pit. Heavy steel framing calls for all hands to unload and move into position.
Well, got to go that way a bit.
Got a light, yeah.
So that temperature's outside. 2.7.
Well, let's say the stage area had to be rebuilt, and here carpenters are engaged in extensive building works to provide the pit chamber to house the scissors hoist, access for the organist, electrical services, pit cover, and all to be refloored over to allow normal stage presentations. After the organ's heavy steel base frame is manhandled into position and lowered by a chain hoist, very soon the organ console is positioned. The top of the lift will be rotatable to allow the organist to work with any off-stage musical groups or other functions. With the console and bench now in position, a new phase of work begins, connecting and checking the thousands of electrical contacts and terminations that control its many functions. At last, and with some excitement, the organ begins to speak. Its first sounds certainly intrigue and amuse the workers. For hours and days, the organ notes will be played and played while adjustments are made to see that each note, stop and function is correctly attuned to its appropriate rank in the organ chambers. There's a lot of communicating necessary between the console, chambers and technicians, achieved by runners, gestures, or just plain shouting. Eventually, after precise tuning by experts, the installation receives the approbation of those who've laboured for so long and now gather around to admire and revel in its great sound. Now, ready for the first of what we know will be many great concerts in the future, we're able to share some extracts of the grand opening, featuring George Blackmore at the console. George Blackmore, a Fellow of the Royal College of Organists, is patron of our Victorian division of the Theatre Organ Society. Invited to Melbourne in 1967 to officially open the Society's Wurlitzer at the Dendy Theatre, it was fitting that he also now open this Compton at Malvern as another milestone in the preservation of theatre pipe organs in Victoria.
Me to say cheerio, don't say goodbye because,